One thing I've noticed about you is you are pretty objective for the most part, even if it's against like your own people.
Yeah.
You talk about black
They
people,
hate me so
you
much
talk
for that.
about Muslims. And it's interesting because I saw you post something the other day, because, you know, this is a Muslim issue in the Middle East, but you were talking about, you know, Muslims coming to America, and you were talking about Michigan and what's going on
Oh yeah,
there.
when they were playing that Dan multiple times a day in Dearborn.
Yeah, because,
Yeah.
you know, you look at this and it's like this nation was founded on Christianity. And it's still a predominant Christian nation.
Wasn't.
You know, you have
How
They hate
often
me
do
when
you
I say
this,
that.
man?
I said this is a Christian country, like, you know.
Yeah, it's not a Muslim country.
It's not.
But, you know, you're seeing now the New York thing and other stuff where they're like,
We talked about this a billion times before. The founding fathers of America came from England, where they escaped the Church of England. They founded the country on religious freedom. It was not a Christian country, not from the start.
One book contains an English translation of the Quran, Islam's sacred text, and was once owned by Thomas Jefferson.
That's Jefferson's initial, a little T before the I.
And not only was Islam in America from the get-go, no, the founding fathers themselves were identified as deists, not as traditional Christians.
like, dude, we're going to take over. We're taking over. And I've said this as a Christian. I'm like, guys, like Islam has spread really far through lots of different tactics of takeover. It's not just like, you know, yeah, there's violence and stuff, but take that away. Just take things like the tax to, you know, hey, if you don't convert, you pay a tax.
Yeah, the jizya.
Yeah. And it's like, Christians
jizya.
don't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like if you don't convert, all right, you don't convert, like it is what it is. But, you know, if you want to go be in some...
Yeah, it is what it is, dude. In a so-called Christian country, you're paying more taxes than you ever would in a Muslim country. Guess what? The non-Muslims are paying jizya. That is a state tax. That is correct. However, the non-Muslims don't have to go to war. They are protected by the government. They can live their lives. They can practice their religion. All they have to pay is a state tax. Again, that state tax is way less than you're paying in the United States. But on top of that, if you're a Muslim, it's true, you're not paying the state tax, but you're paying zakat, mandatory charity. And the mandatory charity usually is even higher than the jizya.
These countries, if you don't convert to Islam, you're paying a tax the rest of your life and you can't do business and you know, whatever, right?
No.
But
You
now
can
you're
do
seeing
business.
kind of that start to spread to Western America. So what do you think of all this?
So, yeah, and I get a lot of hot water with the Muslim community about this because they're like, oh, you shouldn't have these takes. And I appreciate that you acknowledge that. They're like, I try to be as objective, even if my position doesn't benefit me.
Right.
Right. And I think that's the best way to be because, like, if you're only giving takes that benefit you, like, are you really being genuine?
Yeah,
and
it's biased.
It's extremely biased, right? And this is a human feature, right? Like, you know, people are always inherently going to have a worldview and have opinions and takes that inherently benefit them. But like for me, just being objective, this is not a Muslim country. It was not founded on Christian.
You're not being objective whatsoever. You have a bias as well, and your bias is America first. Your bias is conservatism. Your bias is right-wing politics. Your bias is the red pill. So you see everything from that framework, and then you're pretending that this would be somehow objective. It is not objective whatsoever. How is this an objective moral standard?
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Friendship principles. The framers were not Muslims. I understand that the framers did mention having, you know, religious tolerance and freedom of religion, for sure. Separation of church and state, sure. And you do have the religious freedom to, you know, pray on the Times Square and all this other stuff. But like, just because you could doesn't mean you should, right? Like if you invite someone to your house and they kick up their feet on this table, you probably won't be like, get out of here right now. I hate you for that. But you're going to think twice about letting someone else like him in.
Yeah.
Right. And let's be honest, like we have to have a very difficult conversation, you know, and say,
What the hell, Myron? Who are you trying to please here? The founding fathers themselves separated church and state. By that standard alone, you already know that we're not talking about a Christian country any longer. This is not a Christian country. They escaped England one more time where the church had control. Now they want to create a secular country where, yes, you have religious freedom, but religion itself is not ruling the country. However, if you want to be a Buddhist, Hindu, Muslim, whatever, you can. And yes, you can pray outside as well. That is true religious freedom. So therefore, the founding fathers established that. But now you say, oh, well, just because you could doesn't mean you should. Who are you offending here? The right-wingers. Why would Muslims care what right-wingers think of them?
Muslims have a bad rap. They have a bad stereotype of being violent, terrorists, extremists, wanting to take over all this other.
So?
What type of message are we sending by openly praying in Times Square? What kind of message are we sending saying we need the Adhan 5 times in major cities of the United States? Like, we're confirming the stereotypes, because the thing is that I've always said it, like, this whole Muslims are and Islamophobia, whatever you want to call it, it's all like propaganda, right? To make Muslims look terrible. But if you go ahead and you actually confirm the stereotypes by doing this, like, you're not helping the cause and you're wearing out your welcome.
Oh my God,
So,
I can't listen to this crap.
like-
Okay, how are they confirming the stereotype? By peacefully praying outside. You said the stereotype is terrorism, violence, etc. They're not violent, they're not terrorists, they're simply praying outside. What is the message they're sending out? Pray to God. Yeah, that's the message. Man, if you go to Venice Beach or whatever, you see Hare Krishnas singing, chanting, Buddhists, Hindus, yogis on the beach, etc. This is completely normal in America. But somehow you have this issue when Muslims pray outside. Ask yourself why. Again, I'm asking here, why do you want to please them?
I say,
what?
like, do you really need to pray in Times Square and put a loudspeaker and do all this other stuff when there's mosques all over New York City?
Yeah.
Do you need to do it? Just because you could doesn't mean you should. So, like, my thing as I look at it, like, let's not wear out our welcome. We're guests here. And this is, at the end of the day, a Christian country. And then what I always tell them is, okay, let's go into another scenario.
It's completely useless because the baseline of his argument is already flawed. America is not a Christian country. Is there a Christian influence on America? Yes, surely. Is it a Christian country? No chance at all. And what is really sad to see here is that he sees himself as a guest. We saw that as well in the interview with Sneeko, where he told Sneeko, who is born in America, that he is a guest in America. So if you're not white and Christian, you always will be a guest in America, apparently, according to Myron. How does this make sense, man? America is the new world. It's not like Europe. If you would make the argument, let's say, about the Ukraine, Poland, for example, I would understand. Those countries, they were pretty homogeneous in ethnicity for the longest time, and therefore, if you enter that country as a foreigner, sure, you will be a guest to that country. I could agree with that. However, since when do you have to be a white Christian in order to be an American? People like Michael Jordan, for example, not American. Dave Chappelle, he's black and a Muslim as well. Not American.
Take a bunch of, because I got a debate with Sneeko about this. And I said, let's say we take a bunch of Christians, because he showed me a video of them praying at Times Square. It was like 100 of them. They're using a loudspeaker, praying at Times Square. It's like, look, we're not being disruptive. I was like, bro, this is kind of disruptive. Like, what are you talking about, man? And you're doing it at Times Square to send a message, right? Like, let's be honest here. Like, that is to send a message to
He really loves to please the kuffar.
a degree. So what if
That's
I
what
took
he
100
loves.
Christians,
He loves it.
they went to the Burj Khalifa in United Arab Emirates and tried to pray over there? What would happen? I think they would get told to leave and or arrested.
Yeah.
And the UAE is a westernized, fairly secular Muslim country.
Yeah, that's the best case scenario.
That's the best case scenario. So, when I say things like, look,
In the UAE, demonstrations of all sorts are prohibited. That is the state law. In America, it isn't.
we can't get mad at people here saying we don't want these guys praying out on our streets or playing the Adhan. We can't get mad at them for that when if they went to one of our countries and tried to do what you're doing here, they would go to jail.
Yeah.
It's not fair. They have every right.
Oh my God, man. Christianity has been a big part of the Arab world for thousands and thousands of years. This is where it originates from. Christianity comes from the Middle East. Let me show you this clip one more time. So, there you go, Myron. Christians can publicly demonstrate in majority Muslim countries. What do you say now?
To feel like this is a Christian country, we don't want you praying in the street. Because then they'll come back to me and say, well, we hear the church bells. Oh, well, this isn't a Muslim country. Like, it's incredible to me how,
Look how
like, I
happy
have
the
to
guy
argue with
is.
these guys and tell them, like,
He agrees with me.
Church bells, it's supposed to be doing that. It's not your country, bro. It's not. You know what I mean? And it's
But it
like
is.
incredible to me how I have to explain this to them. And then I look like the bad guy for telling them that you're a sellout, blah, blah, blah. No, dude, you would never reciprocate this, ever.
Yeah.
And it makes my blood boil because they're so stupid, right? And I call them like, there's smart Muslims and then there's that don't understand that, look, you're intolerant of certain things. Christians should be able to be intolerant of certain things in their country. This is not a Muslim country, bro. We're here as guests.
You have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, man. I would agree with you that a Christian country, a theocracy of sorts, has absolute control over its population. And therefore, if they don't want a Muslim population in their midst, they don't want to hear the adhan, they don't want to see prayers outside, fine. That is a true Christian country. However, what you're voicing here is nothing but your opinion. That is all. By the Constitution of America, what those people did, praying outside, is perfectly legal. So therefore, again, there's not some objective reasoning here. No, just your opinion based on the right wing.
What you
That's
say.
all.
No one puts their hand on the Quran to swear in. They put their hand on the Bible.
No, they do know.
It's incredible to me how stupid they are. It's like low IQ monkey thinking
No,
because
they
they
don't.
don't understand that. I'm like, dude, you would never exercise this level of
You can swear on the Quran now in your government.
tolerance in a Muslim country. And this is in UAE, Dubai. I've been there many times. 90% of the people that are there aren't even Emiratis. It's like Indians, Pakistanis, Filipinos, etc. And if Christians went and tried to pray in front of the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, right? Because I would liken that to like maybe a Times Square. That's like their maybe equivalent, like their biggest tourist attraction.
Yeah.
Dude, police would be there immediately like, get the out of here.
Yeah.
What are y'all doing, bro?
And you're in the most westernized.
And you're in the most
Yeah,
westernized.
even
Middle
if Muslims would show up there, it would be prohibited. Nobody's allowed to demonstrate anything publicly.
And they don't have anything to say to that, right? They just get mad and be like, oh, you're a sellout or
Well,
you're a kafir.
Well, you pick the other countries and they will literally kill
You
you.
are, yeah.
Like,
There's some- yes,
this
there's
is
some-
happening in Nigeria.
Yeah.
This is happening in all these things. And it's like,
Yeah, dude,
You
it's
know.
just, they're getting angry for some Christians exercising the same intolerance that they would exercise in their home countries.
Right.
And that's where it's not fair, right? And they say, well, this is a country of immigrants, this is a country of blah, blah, blah. Realistically speaking, like, they didn't intend, the framers didn't intend to bring a bunch of Muslims here.
yeah.
Like, that's not what the goal was, like, for them to be the majority.
So why did Thomas Jefferson have a Quran then?
It's interesting, even now as you're saying that.
Why?
It's making me think about to these biblical stories with Jesus. And so what they used to do was practice and let everyone know they're fasting and they're praying all these hours per day. And Jesus was like, no, dude, like people really shouldn't even know you're doing that. Like,
Yeah.
keep your fasting and your praying. Like,
Yeah, why do you got to
When he-
showcase it?
and that was the point. He's like, you guys do it as a show to like please man and show people how you're doing it. And Jesus is like, no, you shouldn't even do that. And that's why you don't really see Christians doing it.
Yeah.
And I would say the
Oh
only,
my God, you shouldn't do that in Islam either. It's actually even a minor shirk when you are correcting your prayer or you're praying in a certain way because other people are watching. You have no idea about Islam, and neither does Myron.
only equivalent of Christians would be when you see the guy on the megaphone saying, you're going to hell if you don't repent.
Yeah.
And that is
I'm
perfectly
like,
legal.
bro, no, quit. Like, stop doing that. That's not
But
making us look good.
even and they don't like when I say this, but I look at it like even if they did do that, this is a Christian country. Like
Right.
even if they did do that, and I'm consistent on this. I don't even like it when they shut off streets in Brooklyn, right? Because they're also a minority.
Right.
So I think the people that founded the country gets to dictate the culture of the country, the religion of the country, the language of the country.
Yeah.
And
But that's what they did, and they didn't dictate Christianity. So what is your issue now?
that's how it goes. And people get mad at me for saying this, but it's the truth. And it's
Nobody's getting mad, Myron. It's just not true.
like if you're going to
That's
come to
all.
America, you need to assimilate. You need to learn English. You need to adopt American
need to
ideals.
become
Because I'm a
Christian.
hardcore nationalist, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't
Exactly.
like when people fly foreign flags in the United States. Like I got in a bunch of trouble with Puerto Ricans because I said that they're also they're flying around their dumb flag, right? And it's like, oh, Boricua, blah blah blah. It's like, bro, how are you guys such strong? You guys, you're all
What do you think of this
nationalistic.
Bad Bunny thing?
Yeah. Like you guys are all over here being like nationalists for Puerto Rico. You don't even got a nation. You carry an American passport. Shut the up. And then Bad Bunny, I think it's unacceptable for a reggaeton artist that does music in Spanish, who honestly isn't a patriot whatsoever. Why they book him for the Super Bowl?
don't know.
The most American
Why do you think
fucking
they
thing you
did
could
it?
do. Because Latin music is huge. It's a strategic play to bring in more Latin viewers to watch football.
Got it.
That's why. It's a strategic move, but they're selling
They're going to lose
American
out
values.
all the other people.
Yeah, it's like more bending of the woke
They're
shit or
not
whatever. But
gonna
like, yeah, like
lose
I
out.
criticize everybody. Like I don't like it when we have Puerto Rican Day parades. I don't like it when they have Mexican Heritage Day parades. Like I think flying any flag, a
So
foreign
what
flag,
the
is-
hell do you want, man? You just want everybody to be white and American. And only like that America
Right.
will
And
keep on
It's like
existing.
the
or what?
justification,
So stupid.
even like, for the jizya tax or whatever it's called. It's like,
Jizya.
if they're going to do that, why would they ever be mad if, I guess, they're discriminated against, or not even discriminated, but I guess, to your point, intolerant against?
I'll say this.
Look how low IQ this point is. He just keeps on rambling about the jizya tax, jizya tax, jizya tax. Where, in which Muslim country are you paying a jizya tax right now? Please tell me. And since when do Muslim migrants to America ask for a jizya tax? And who will you pay it to? To the Muslim migrants? Do you really think this is how it works? This is so extremely stupid. The guy has no clue what he's talking about. but he's going to regurgitate those talking points from Christian evangelicals. Jizya tax, jihad, Aisha.
The Muslims that disagree with
And
me,
this
because a
guy is
lot
even
actually
agreeing
do
with
agree
him.
me. They just don't say it out loud because they don't want to get ostracized or whatever. A lot of them do agree with me, right?
Oh, yeah?
Moderate Muslims. It's just that there's a small percentage that are loud. Those are the ones that have the platforms. Those are the ones that are on YouTube. Those are the ones that have the big Twitter accounts or whatever, and because they say all this shit, and it, obviously it gets a lot of shock value.
No, Myron, it has nothing to do with loud Muslims, silent Muslims, moderate Muslims, Muslims on YouTube, on Twitter, or whatever. It has something to do with Islam. Theologically speaking, from a traditional Islamic standpoint, everything you say right now brings you out of the fold of Islam. That's just what it is. Even the statement for nationalism. There is a beautiful hadith about tribalism which could be equated to nationalism nowadays. And there the Prophet ﷺ says that anybody that subscribes to tribalism or fights in the cause of tribalism is not of us, therefore not Muslim.
Engagement, because then you
That's
have
just
other
what it is.
people like fighting back against it, like we don't want Sharia law here, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So it's a very loud minority that think it's appropriate to do a lot of the shit that I mentioned before. But a lot of Muslims have common sense and are intelligent and super smart and get it like, hey, we are guests here. Do I need to
Respectful.
pray in the street? Yeah, they're respectful.
Yeah.
They love their Christian brothers. Because I have a deep respect for anyone of the book, right?
Yeah.
Christians, Muslims. But we do have to be a little fair here and
Jews.
understand that we are guests here. If we want to go ahead and implement the adhan 5 times a day and have a certain type of society, dude, go to the Qatar, go to the UAE, go to Saudi Arabia. All of these countries are beautiful, safe, cleaner than America. You don't even got to pay taxes in some of them. Like, go there.
Yeah, right.
Right, yeah. The topic of Dearborn, Michigan has been really pushed lately, so therefore you already know they're planning something else. They try to distract you. Hey, look here, don't look there. Everybody's focused on that. Oh, Islamic takeover, etc., you name it. Okay, now you have a community in America that is predominantly Muslim. Wow, big surprise. You already have communities that are predominantly Jewish, predominantly Amish, Mormon, etc., you name it. This is nothing new. Why do you choose to focus so much on Islam? When they're talking about Sharia, what are you talking about? Do you really think that a group of Muslims now somehow magically will overthrow the American Constitution and will declare Sharia law? Do you really think this will happen now? Just because you have one place that is Muslim majority now. I think the Muslims in America are 1%, if at all. But the real deception here is, of course, that Myron sees himself as the arbiter of moral truths, of objectivism. He exactly knows what is objective and everybody else is just failing to see it. Everybody else just low IQ, everybody else is a goat, according to him. Nobody really understands what is going on here. Just Myron tells you that, hey, don't step on anybody's toes, don't pray outside, everybody thinks you're terrorists, so please just behave like me, and then everything will be fine. Why? What you are saying goes against the American Constitution. What you are saying goes against the Founding Fathers. We already established this a billion times throughout this video. The Founding Fathers were for religious freedom. The Founding Fathers separated church from state. Now you have a secular country. In a secular country, you can practice your religion. Now you have 1% Muslims that want to practice their religion. Now you have certain majority communities of Muslims that want to hear the adhan. All of this is perfectly legal. All of this is in line with the Constitution. None of this is asking for state Sharia. None of this is asking you to pay the jizya now. And by the way, if you were truly a Muslim, you wouldn't even have to pay the jizya. But be that as it may, none of this is any type of takeover at all. I applaud Myron for talking against Israel, for example, because if we're talking about political influence from a foreign entity, yes, Israel should be mentioned, for sure. That is something that you're really battling in America. But what do the Muslims do? How are they taking over the country? Oh, they prayed in Times Square, boo-hoo. As a Muslim, you should see this as a positive event, of course. People are praying to God outside. What is bad about that? And again, don't tell me in Arab countries you can't do that. We already showed in the video that you absolutely can. Be it Lebanon, be it Syria, etc., you name it. Christians can practice outside, and they do over and over again. Don't come with the UAE example, because the UAE has very strict restrictions on everything. This is not only from an Islamic standpoint. And then he complains about being seen as a traitor, as a kafir, etc. Listen, this is not my opinion. It doesn't really matter what I think. Islamically speaking, with your statements, you're outside of the fold of Islam. So if you don't like it, then stand up for Islam and change it. Alright guys, but this is it for today's video. If you liked it, leave the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and check out the links in the description box below to further support my work. Thank you very much for that. And as always, may God bless you all. Much love and peace.
يا نفس إن لم تظفري لا تجزعي يا نفس إن لم تظفري لا تجزعي وإلى موائد جود مولاك هرعي